iPhone 16/Pro impressions, the greatest separation. I'm intrigued what the greatest separation means. But let's find out, shall we? Here we go.
All right.
Volume's right, cool.
I'm back from Australia, all the way from down under, and
Down
I
under?
didn't bring exactly one souvenir with me, but
Ooh.
I flew in this morning because Apple said they were going to announce some stuff, and they did. There was an event today. So here's my first impressions. So we got the iPhone 16 and 16 Pro today.
I've always seen pictures of the 16. I actually haven't seen the Pro before, but that's honestly what I expected it to look like because it looks the same as every single iPhone for the last about 6 years. But I was intrigued. The main thing I want to know is I've seen the body and I've seen the colours that are available for it. I kind of skipped through the Apple event, but when I say I skipped through, I mean the Apple event was like what, an hour 30, hour 40 or something like that. And I literally skipped through it in about 2 minutes. So I didn't look at it very much, but I looked at the absolute basics and just kind of quickly went through it. And I've seen the body, seen the colours. The main thing I want to know is how do the specs change? Is it a better phone? I want to know, talk about Apple AI, artificial intelligence becoming a thing, and I want to know how they're going to implement it. Is it going to be identical to what the Pixel's done, or is it going to be something a bit more advanced, or is it going to go like balls deep and just try it with the Samsung route and just do everything AI?
Along with new AirPods
Unnecessary.
and Apple Watch, and I've got some hands-on and some first impressions for you. Let's just start with the new phones. We knew this was coming, right? A very minor, incremental, overall update. But somehow Apple's still got to try to get people to buy it, so what will they do? So iPhone 16 looks very much like iPhone 15, but there's some new colors, as you can pretty much always count on.
Yep.
This year it's ultramarine, which is kind of this indigo, pretty sick. Teal, pink.
Oh. I think if I was going to buy this phone, I'd probably go for just the plain old black. I want to see. I don't think there's been a good iPhone colour since this product red. I love this red so much. The camera doesn't do it justice. It looks more kind of, at least from my eyes, it looks a bit more like a peach colour, like a bit more orange and all this kind of stuff. But we move. It's. I don't hate it, but yeah, it could look better. But this is just what I expect from my phone. They don't go ham with like unique looking bodies and stuff like that.
Black and white, and the cameras, instead of being diagonally oriented, are now lined up again next to each other like it was back in the iPhone 10 days.
I really appreciate how the new Pixel has like got that unique design on the back of it. I think it's really, really good. I like the way they've done that. In case you haven't seen it, let's quickly show you. I love this design that they've got here. This design right here, I love this design. I think that's amazing. It's clean. It's right in the center rather than being like tucked in the corner of the screen. It's like, what? What's the point of that? But anyway, let's go.
But it's not just a retro touch. That's also so it can shoot spatial videos and pictures now. So the sensors are aligned with each other again.
Oh,
but then everything else, the rounded corners, the size of the regular phone and the Plus phone, the speakers, the antenna lines, everything, just basically the same. Not much new going on here. Inside, they bumped it up.
But would have been amazed by the fact that I don't know if you've ever seen videos of Marquez holding this, like he's got like this massive like film camera whenever he goes to a convention or whatever.
Speakers.
This dude right here was like, oh my god, look at the camera this dude's holding.
Basically the same.
I love that.
Much new going on here. Inside, they bumped it up from the A16 Bionic to a new A18, so there's some solid performance improvements in the 20 to 30% range.
The fact that I think the SE has like I think it's the A13. I want to say it was taken from like the iPhone 13, iPhone 12, something like that. So it's got a powerful chip, but this is 3 years old, 3.5 now. It's still running fine. It does lag a little bit, but it's running fine for what it is.
Better ray tracing.
So the new Bionic chips that they released, it just doesn't matter to me.
And a 2 times faster neural engine and 8 gigs of RAM for all that Apple Intelligence stuff. Really,
that's what I want to know about.
Most underrated new hardware to me, though, that they talked about is Apple briefly mentioned that these new phones will all have larger batteries. And so that seems to imply that it will actually have better battery life. But also, at no point did Apple ever say any numbers. Not a single number was uttered during the battery section, no graphs or anything like that. So we don't know exactly how much bigger this new battery actually is. And the only numbers we've been able to find is if you look on Apple's compare page for the phones, it said the iPhone 15 would get a battery life of 20 hours of video playback, and this new 16 gets 22.
Whoa.
So I'm going to be putting these through the paces.
2 hours!
You already know if you want to get subscribed to be among the first to see the full review, that's when we'll be able to figure out if it's actually a significant improvement in battery in other ways. But as of right now, we'll be able to figure out. We'll be putting these through the paces. You already know if you want to get subscribed to be among the first to see the full review, that's when.
Why does it say 11K? He's got that. Why does it say 11K? This brother's got 19 million subs. I don't understand. Is that the default thing that it comes?
We'll be able to figure out if it's actually a significant
Maybe it's so that people talk about it, which I did.
improvement in battery in other ways, but as of right now, better battery, sure. And then I never thought I'd say this
We'll take
sentence again, but this new iPhone has 2 new buttons. So first of all, it gets the action button from last year's Pro.
Of course.
So now you can do the exact
I actually
same
forgot about the action
customized
button.
shortcuts from a flashlight or Shazam to a Siri shortcut or whatever you want. And then there's also another new button called camera control.
I've seen a bit of
And
this.
this second button, it's a touch sensitive cutout covered in sapphire with a Taptic engine behind it. Now it does actually move. It is an actual button, just to be clear. But just like the trackpad on a lot of modern laptops, the vibration motor clicks to also make a half press feel like you're clicking a 2.
Fam, I was at a pub literally last night, and I had my phone. So obviously this is like a haptic button as well down here. I had my phone in my hand, and you can feel it. I've always been able to feel the button fine, but then I put it down on the table. It's fine here. I can tell that I'm pressing the button on my desk, at least on the mouse pad. But on that table last night, it was just some generic wood table. I couldn't tell if I was pressing the button or not. I was like, I thought I was losing my mind. I thought the alcohol was already getting to us. I only had 3 pints by that point. Please drink responsibly.
Stage button, like a camera shutter button. And it is also very convincing. So the magic of this camera control area, is what they're calling it, is that it is pressure sensitive, and it's basically a tiny trackpad on the corner of the phone. It's capacitive sensitive, so you can swipe and do gestures along the corner of the phone.
Okay.
And so Apple's decided everything that this button will do will be camera related. So if you press it from the lock screen, it opens the camera app. And then when you're in, you can click it again to take a photo.
I like that.
Or long press to start taking a short video. But then you can do a little half-strength double tap to open up a menu for different camera options, and then slide your finger along this camera control to change them. So, it takes some getting used to. You got to get used to the placement of your hand and how fast you swipe, but once you kind of know what you're doing, it feels pretty smooth, and it's pretty sensitive and intuitive. So this is all a bunch of functionality that's being added basically into Apple's camera app, but Apple's also said that third-party apps that use the camera will also be able to take advantage of the camera control. So Snapchat, Instagram, Halide, etc.
I hate Snapchat. I'm not even joking. I hate it.
They'll be able to
Can't stand it.
The slider. So I think
Smile.
it's pretty cool. I think it's technically very impressive. I'm just trying to figure out, kind of similar to the action button, how useful it will actually be. Like, it is kind of in this awkward spot on the bottom right of the phone. It makes sense as a horizontal shutter button, but they're kind of splitting the difference, trying to also make it usable in a vertical orientation. I'm curious how many people actually use this regularly, because again, it is on all the phones. But yeah,
I'd use it quite often, I think.
For the 16.
I'm a photographer.
The display also does now drop down to 1 nit minimum brightness, so that's great.
Wow.
At night. It is also still a 60 hertz display on an $800 flagship in 2024. So that's really disappointing for me personally, but overall this phone
60 hertz still, that's it. But there's phones out there doing like 500, no, maybe not 500 hertz, but a hell of a lot more hertz.
I'd say it's still pretty tempting to say that this base model is probably a better buy for most people over the Pro phones, but let's just get into the Pro phones, shall we? New colors this year. Desert Titanium, which goes alongside the classic natural titanium, and then a slightly darker black and a slightly whiter white.
I would still go for the black on that.
Design again, plus the new camera control.
It's identical.
And the main updates with the Pro are the new screens and the new chip. So the phones actually get slightly bigger this year. So the screen sizes are up to 6.3 inches on the Pro and 6.9 inches on the Pro Max, thanks to the thinner bezels, which I didn't think I would notice, but I'm actually looking at them and they are a little noticeably thinner, so you can kind of tell. And inside there is also a new chip as well. It's the A18 Pro. So this is the new highest end chip in any iPhone. And this again should have performance boost and efficiency boost over last year's Pro phone, again in the 20 to 30% range. So CPU and GPU improving, better ray tracing.
Yeah, same old.
Have the faster USB 3 speed.
He's talking about ray tracing right there, right?
Better ray tracing.
I didn't even know that the iPhone supported ray tracing. Since when? But I don't know when that happened, but yeah.
Should still have the faster USB 3 speeds.
The last big thing I knew, if we're talking specifically ray tracing, which to me has always been related to gaming specifically, unless we're talking about like movies, and that's a pre-render thing. the closest thing to that is being able to play Resident Evil Village on iPhone, is it not? That's the closest thing I've heard for a long time. That was actually like, damn, this is crazy. Having it native on the iPhone was massive, but I didn't know it supported ray tracing. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't be, the iPhone wouldn't be able to handle it.
That the pros get.
You would think.
But again, the efficiency improvements have them saying that the Pro Max will now be the longest battery life ever in an iPhone. By how much? I don't really know. But
I'm surprised they didn't give numbers regarding that.
Of course, always the highlight of the Pro phones, and there are 3 new cameras on these Pros versus last year. So a new 48 megapixel main camera, then a higher resolution 48 megapixel ultra wide camera from the 12 from last year, and then the smaller Pro also gets a 5x telephoto now. So the smaller Pro used to have a 3x, but now both Pros have matching all 3 cameras.
Okay, good.
It's also
good.
wireless charging a little bit faster, 25 watts. So that'll get you 50%.
I swear my phone's like 5 watts on wireless charging. It doesn't charge quick. As you can see, it's on a stand. That is a wireless charging stand that it's on right now. But wow, that's actually really quick for me.
In 30 minutes of charging.
I don't know what my charger is. There it is. This charger right here. I don't know what it is. I think this is my I was about to say, I think this is my iPad charger. It's not. It's my Oculus. It's my Quest 2. Alright then. Oculus power adapter. This says 10 watts. Is that it? That feels like a charger so fast on 10 watts. I mean, the battery's tiny on these phones, but still, that's crazy. I can't believe... The crazier thing is the fact I'm still using an Oculus cable, apparently, which I didn't realise.
MagSafe charger, nothing too crazy. And also, 4K 120 FPS slow motion straight out of the cameras now. And that's pretty sick. Now, I'm sure the file sizes will be nuts from the ProRes version of this, but it gives you really functional files that you can do a lot with. It also totally proves to me that they could handle processing enough to shoot 8K 30, but they're just choosing not to. Now, there was a whole lot of talk.
Don't even get me started on 8K after the release of the PS5 Pro.
Long section of the keynote where they constantly talked about Apple Intelligence. And, I mean, they have to because it's a really big deal for them. But the thing is, these phones will launch with iOS 18.
He's going to say without it or something.
18.0. And that means they will launch with no Apple Intelligence features at all.
I knew that was coming.
Emoji, no image playground, no writing tools, nothing.
That
shiny brand new iPhone 16 that you take out the box in September 2024 and start using in a couple weeks will have the old Siri on it. Now, they'll start to come out bit by bit with software updates. So 18.1 has the new Siri and a bunch of writing tools and some other stuff. But it's becoming harder and harder to pair that stuff directly to this new phone as a part of this upgrade. I mean, if you've watched my videos before, you know about one of the golden rules, which is to never buy something based on the promise of future software updates. So this feels like a big separation moment for the iPhone, at least to me.
The great separation. That's fair.
Where each year of the new physical phone that you buy is just a small improvement. It's just a little bit faster chip.
The thing about iPhone, and this is good, but it's also bad if you're going to buy a new one, is that the all of these software additions that they add is just going to, like, I'm probably going to get access to iOS 18 and the upgraded Siri and stuff on this phone. This phone from 2020, I'll probably still get access to it. It's on, is it iOS? Is it? I think this is 17.3 or 4. But this phone is so old, there's no reason for this to be on such a 17.6.1. I'm gonna, if I don't get access to iOS 18 on that phone, I'll be friggin' amazed. But that's why it's not, like, let's say for example these AI features were just coming to the iPhone 16, and there was some way to kind of separate it. Ironically, it's called the Great Separation in this video, but there was some way to kind of separate it so that you had software updates that included the iOS 18 changes apart from the AI features, and they just got added to the 16 and above. But they're going to be adding it to like iOS or iPhone 12 and 13. That's what it's just, when it's all software based, it doesn't really, in my mind, make as much sense to it. But that's Apple thing.
A little bit better screen.
That's good for us people that like me. I use the old iPhone, but for anyone that's buying a new phone, it makes it less worth it to know that all the people of the older phones like I've got are just going to get the same updates.
Slightly better cameras, But on the other side is this rapidly improving ball of all this AI stuff that is not launching on the phone, but that is the totally separate, really big reason to get the phone. So yeah, it
Yeah,
feels
it's a
like
bit
I'm
stupid.
going to need to review all of that stuff separately in its entirety when it does finally come out, because it
I will say, I don't know if the iPhone 16 has specific, maybe the chip is specific, maybe it's physically impossible for Apple Intelligence to live on the older iPhones, including iPhone 15, 14 downwards. But if that's not the case, and it is purely software based, then there's no point of really buying this phone until, in my mind, until they upgrade the screen properly and give like 120 Hz display. Which, correct us if I'm wrong, I swear they've done that on the Pro phones before. Even said that this video, did you not? I don't remember, but that needs to be on the baseline model, not just the Pro model. If it is,
comes out so separately from the phone itself.
yeah, I see what it means.
Anyway, there were also some other Apple announcements today, aside from just the iPhones, and we got new AirPods and new watches. So there were lots of rumors about this huge redesign with the Apple Watch for the 10th year.
Hasn't happened,
but
does
now
it?
that we actually see it, Apple Watch Series 10 is mostly
The same.
slightly new again. Now, okay, it is 10% thinner and 10% lighter, and that's nice. And it has a slightly larger display again with thinner bezels and better viewing angles. Plus,
I'm telling you this right now, if someone put an iPhone, Apple Watch, whatever it is, next to an Apple Watch 10, whatever, I don't even friggin' know anymore, I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference. Wouldn't be able to.
S10 SIP inside. That's it. Oh, and of course you got to throw in some new colors as well. So the aluminum has silver or rose gold or this new jet black finish, which is a bit of a shiny throwback.
I don't like that really.
And then they've dropped stainless steel for titanium, which now comes in natural titanium, gold colored, or slate colored.
Okay.
So that's the redesign.
Okay then.
Again, it is pretty minor.
It is
I don't want to
very minor.
downplay the amount of technical engineering that goes into achieving these things. Like, clearly, you still had to combine the metal backplate and the charger into one piece with the antennas integrated to improve the thinness. And they're using what they're calling the first wide-angle OLED display to help you see the screen from more angles, which actually does matter on a watch. But yeah, I think if you were expecting some crazy radical, square watch or something nuts, then yeah, this is very much still the classic Apple Watch shape. There are some new watch faces. Since
I like
the
it.
second hand now is always visible, even when always on display is
Oh, well.
gone dark, so that's cool. There's also a new depth app and a new tides app, which I think looks really cool. I don't even surf or have any use for this app, but it's just kind of cool flipping through and seeing exactly when sunrise and sundown are and high tide and low tide are.
That's actually really useful for me. You know why? I go to plenty of places to do photography where tide's important. And sometimes you go to some places and they don't make it obvious to what it's going to be. So that could actually be really useful for us to find out if it's worth going down somewhere.
If you're near a coastline. And they also introduced
That's really good.
apnea detection using only the gyroscope. There's another coming soon feature. It's like pending FDA approval and regulatory bodies around the world to actually launch. But the fact that it only needs a gyroscope to detect it, I thought that was pretty cool. So those Series 10 watches are going to start at the same prices as last year's Series 10 watches.
Okay.
And we also got a new Apple Watch Ultra 2. And by new Apple Watch Ultra 2, I mean
The same. I won't ever be buying this. This Apple Watch is an SE watch, just like the phone is, and I love it just as much as I can imagine I would a Series 9 or Series 10 Apple Watch.
a satin black finish of the existing Apple Watch Ultra 2. And I am so into it. I have absolutely no real reason to upgrade, but this is just one of those things that companies sometimes do. They just make a matte black version of something
That is nice.
that I totally
That's
don't
really
need.
nice. I like it a lot. I won't buy it.
Suddenly they have
but I
my
like it.
shipping address and credit card info, and I just end up buying one. I'm told this is a pretty robust coding process, so
I like it.
hopefully it shouldn't chip or scratch too easily, and then maybe show like light raw titanium underneath.
The iPhone, not iPhone, Apple Watch has been so impressive for me. I've seen on this watch genuine huge scratches. The next day, it's gone. If I point my watch to the light now, there's a few little thin scratches on it, but that is it. It's physically impossible to see if I'm looking at it like this. I can't see no scratches on it. It amazes me how you can see a scratch on a watch that's just clear, and then the next day I wake up, it's just gone. I don't know what they do, but the fact that the Apple Watch has been better as a screen for me than the main iPhone I've got is pretty damn impressive. It's got to be said.
But also it's an ultra watch, so I think someone's gonna do it. But then there are also the new AirPods, the AirPods upgrades. One of them's a fake upgrade. So the new base AirPods 4 have been redesigned, and there's actually two versions. So for 129, there's the
How much?
new AirPods 4 with the new shape, and then for 179, there's the same new AirPods version, but you also get active noise cancellation and a wireless charging case with a tiny speaker built in for Find My.
How much did you say? For one with active noise cancellation?
There's the same new AirPods 4 with the new shape, and then for 179, there's the same new AirPods version, but you also get active noise cancellation and a wireless charging case with a tiny speaker built in for Find My. So yeah, this new shape, it's a little different, so it may fit a little better in some people's ears, like mine. Like the old ones are terrible for me, but these are a little better. But that also means they may be a little bit worse in some people's ears. But yeah, to get, I think, for under $200, active noise cancellation.
That's crazy.
AirPods with a 4-hour battery.
No way. I love my AirPod Pros, which are just sat here for the record. But they're getting to a point now where they're a little bit old, a little bit damaged. They're not very, I don't know if you can see that clearly, but you know, they're a bit kind of dirty. They're not the cleanest. You wouldn't be able to tell really, but they don't look very clean. And I think I'm overdue a new set eventually. But if I can get, essentially, the main thing I like about those headphones is the noise cancellation, which is actually really good. If you've never tried it, I highly do recommend it. $179, which is even, it's going to be even less in the UK. For noise cancellation.
Battery life. I think it'll be a nice little target demographic waiting for that.
That's a really good price.
And then AirPods Pro 2 didn't really get a whole lot technically new here, but they also did get certified as a clinical grade hearing aid, which is pretty awesome.
Damn.
Plus some other hearing protection and testing features are added as well. But the biggest upgrade of the day, and by that I mean non-upgrade, fake upgrade of the day, goes to AirPods Max. Now keep in mind, these headphones came out originally in 2020. Like, we reviewed these a long time ago. These are $500.
That's seriously when they came out, 2020.
$50 when they launched, and they're still $550 in 2024.
It's amazing how many people I see wearing AirPods Max. Obviously, I work in a shop and I see it all the time. It's crazy to me that you see it so often. It's just not. Everyone agreed that it just wasn't worth the money at the time.
And they still have a lightning port, and they still don't have an on-off button. And they still have that dumb case that they came with. So they finally get this update, AirPods Pro 2. And the update is 5 new colors, and they have a USB-C port now.
Because they have to.
Which, okay, yeah, they literally had a lightning port in 2024, so we're happy to see that. And that's it? Like, there's not a single other change to these new AirPods?
No way.
They still don't have an on-off button? In 2024,
oh
they
my
still have
god!
That stupid case they came with. Like, they got the feedback. We know this case isn't good. They didn't improve that at all. They still have the H1 chip, even though all the other AirPods are on the H2 chip now. What? Did the entire AirPods Max team go into a coma for 4 years and then wake up a week before this announcement and able to put this together? This is weird. The sad part is, I'm probably still gonna upgrade to them anyway because I can't carry a lightning cable around anymore, and I keep forgetting it, and then they keep dying, and I keep needing a lightning cable, and it's just, let me just stop having that headache. But yeah, weird non-upgrade.
I'm low-key surprised it didn't try and increase the cost again.
Yeah, those are my announcement thoughts and reactions and first impressions, and generally, yeah, not a ton.
Yeah, it's not great.
Stuff.
That's not
I think
great.
really the two big highlights are, one, this separation between the hardware upgrade and all the software that's coming to the hardware but not launching with it. And honestly, two is this camera control thing, this weird button that they've added. It's fascinating. The fact that they've added it to both the Pro and non-Pro phones when I didn't think they would.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Interesting. The fact that case manufacturers are going to have to deal with this now. Like, some of them are going to have
damn.
For it.
I didn't even think about that.
May try to do the same thing Apple did with like a little capacitive glass thing over the top of it to keep it flush. That's interesting. The fact that it won't come out with the 2-stage shutter press in the actual camera app until later this year via a software update.
Oh god,
that's just weird.
It's
just a lot of fun, weird stuff going on.
It seems like the full.
But now that you've made it this far, let me know in the comment section down below what you want to see in those full reviews as you get subscribed to see them. And thanks to Anchor for sponsoring this video.
That's it. Right, okay. So it seems like the entire phone is based around software updates. Like, that's it. Like, all you're getting is a new piece of hardware to wait for software updates to actually come and update the thing. So, in my mind, if I were you and you're considering an iPhone 16, I wouldn't go for it just yet until, like, the software updates that came out. You might find it reduced in some shops other than Apple. Apple never do reductions, never do sales or anything. But you might find it in other shops at a reduced price. Wait until it's got more updates. Wait until it's a bit more kind of improved from what it is on release. If you've waited too long and the iPhone 17's out by that point, try and have a look to see if the new iPhone 17 will get like, well, we want the base model to have like 120 hertz. That's what matters. And I think that's all that's important. But for now, I would just skip the iPhone 16. I wouldn't say it's worth it right now. Don't go for it just yet, in my humble opinion.